Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Desmond and I make content about tech and travel gear. And I spent about 4 days recently working from Rome. And again, during the time I had to myself, I was being a tourist. And of course, I had my Leica Q3 with me. This is hands down my favorite travel camera for a few reasons. It's not my only travel camera, but usually when I hit a new city and I'm just doing some daily exploring, I will always carry this with me. Now, the big thing I want to talk about is I actually upgraded from the Leica Q2 to the Leica Q3 only about 6 months ago. And this is the 28mm version, not the brand new Leica Q3 43. So the reason I went with the kind of classic Q3 is because I personally like this focal length a lot, especially for travel photography, street photography, and just documenting daily life. This is a focal length that just works out really well for my style. Now, when it comes to situations where I do need a tighter focal length or a bigger variety of focal lengths, I will use my A7CR with a 24-70 or my 35mm 1.4 G Master. But the best thing about the Q3 and this 28mm lens is the size, the image quality, and really the improvements that Leica has made since the Q2. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the technical specs because the Q3 28 has been out for quite a while now, but the reasons why I upgraded to this as my main travel camera is for a few reasons. One, improved autofocus, although it wasn't great to begin with. The tilt out screen, which I actually find very, very useful. It's robust, it's durable, it doesn't look like it's gonna break, but the different angles that I can shoot at, both from a low and a high angle, this is just a great user experience. And of course, because I do a lot of video, the added video improvements to the Q3 are great because this does turn it into a bit more of a hybrid where I can get beautiful B-roll shots when I don't have my larger cameras with me. But other than that, the form factor is exactly the same, which is why I enjoy this camera so much as a travel camera. Especially in the city of Rome, there are still a lot of people, even in the winter time. I think it's the Jubilee. Right now, it happens every 25 years in Rome. And 2025 is that year. So there's still a lot of people around. Having a small, inconspicuous, very capable camera is fantastic for travel photography and street photography. Now this year, I'm trying to bring more of you on these adventures with me and incorporate a lot more of the travel vlog and travel filmmaking into my videos. This is where the sponsor of this video actually comes in. Artlist.io has been pretty critical to helping me put out better content more frequently and faster. Because it's one thing to shoot a ton of footage on location and just film everything, it is another thing to edit that into intros and sequences and polished videos. Now with Artlist.io, not only do I have access to all of their video assets, it's actually integrated directly into Premiere Pro with the Artlist library extension. And this extension has been the biggest game changer for my editing process. When I'm in a creative flow, I don't have to leave Premiere to find assets that I need. I love that I can access their entire library where I can search and download music or sound effects. I can generate AI voiceovers and download those as well. And then I can just drag and drop these assets directly into the timeline. And for a lot of editors, oftentimes when we leave that timeline and we jump over to a website and kind of get lost in the search, it takes a serious amount of time to get back into that creative rhythm. So with Artlist library extension, it just feels so much more natural and non-disruptive to my editing process. So if you are interested in really dialing up your editing in a pretty seamless way, I would definitely check out Artlist.io. I'm gonna leave links and a promo code in the description below. All right, let's get back to the video. The other thing that's great about the Q3 is the 61 megapixel sensor, which is very similar to what you can find in my A7CR or the A7R5. And that means that even at 28mm, I have a lot of cropping power and I still get a lot of detail. When you're in a city like Rome, the architecture, the paintings, the details on all of the different buildings and locations is so beautiful and intricate. Having that extra resolution is perfect for capturing images on the go, but still being able to retain that detail when I decide to crop in for a better shot. And the other thing that I found really useful in a travel scenario is this tilt out screen. It's a small addition, but it actually makes a huge difference in the user experience. Because I have the screen tilted out like this, I'm able to get really creative shots which are a little bit lower, or for example, when I was over at the Trevi Fountain, there were still a ton of people, but I could hold this camera high over my head, still be able to get the shot with all the tourists out of the way. The other thing that's really nice about this tilt out screen is because I do a lot of street and travel photography, I don't always want to have the camera up in somebody's face. So being able to just kind of hold it down at my stomach or hang it around my neck and just kind of walk around and get some inconspicuous shots of kind of people in their daily lives, that is really quite nice and something you couldn't do on the Q2. Another thing, like I mentioned earlier, autofocus has improved. Human and eye detection is better, it's snappier, but there are some downsides to it. Sometimes it just freaks out when there are too many people in a frame and it can't figure out what to snap onto. That's fine, you just go into manual focus, or I tap on a particular subject and I can solve that, but that's just something I'm calling out. And as I mentioned, the form factor, which I love so much on my Q2, is the same on the Q3. It's the same exact weight, it's the same size. This is a very easy camera to throw into a sling bag. It's also a very easy camera to just leave hung around my neck or over my shoulder. Because I was visiting Rome for the first time, I spent a lot of it just walking around the city. And over the weekend, when you're walking around for 10, 12 hours with a heavy camera slung over your shoulder or over your neck, even something as small as this, it does add up and it does get quite heavy. This is a great weight, it's a great size, it's something that's really hard to notice even after extended wear. And because of that, I was able to take more shots. It's just something that was easy to have out and ready to go whenever I came across a shot that was interesting. And another small improvement while spending all day out in Rome with the Q3 was the battery life. So this is a new battery over the Q2. It is higher in capacity, so I did get a lot of shots out of this. But the other thing that's really nice is we have a USB-C plug now. So when I am traveling a new city, I've got my bag. I usually have a power bank in there. Being able to just plug my power bank directly into my Q3 and charge it while I'm on the go was such a game changer. In the past with the Q2, you had to take out the battery, you had to charge it. It just wasn't convenient to charge on the go. With USB-C charging, you just plug this directly into the power bank and you can keep this thing juiced up no matter how long you're out and about in a different city. And finally, one of the benefits that I'm realizing, and has nothing to do with Leica, but it does have to do with the popularity of these compact cameras, is the variety of filters available. For Polar Pro, for example, I've got the new 135 kind of Peter McKinnon film filters. I've got the gold mist on here. I bought the black mist. I've also got the short stash daily filter, all in a 67 millimeter filter thread with a step-up ring. But it's because of how popular these tiny cameras like the Q and the Fujis have become that brands are really launching more of these daily kind of stay on your lens type of filters for these cameras. And I actually find that variety really nice. And that's the nice thing about having a small, subtle camera like this that's highly capable, great sensor, beautiful lens in a city like Rome. I wanted to walk around and not stick out too much like a tourist, so having my larger camera slung around my neck just didn't feel right. So having the Q3 with me was great because I could, again, still enjoy a lot of the culture. I went to some local restaurants and local areas, and this doesn't make me stick out as much like a sore thumb, but I'm still able to capture beautiful, high-quality images. And for me personally, that's the biggest piece as a traveler. I want to be able to document everything that I do because this may be the first or last trip I make to a particular city. So having a camera like this is great because it's easy to carry, and the best camera you've got is the one that you've got on you. And the Leica Q3 tends to go with me just about anywhere because of its size, its capabilities. I will start to do a lot more video with this as I'm getting more comfortable with the autofocus and other things like that. But generally speaking, as a travel photography and street photography camera, this thing is my favorite go-to. Now, in terms of video capabilities, I really like the upgrades that they made to the Q3, especially as someone who primarily films video when I travel. I enjoy the 4K, 10-bit 422. We have 8K filming as well. We also get 60 frames per second up to 4K, and we have slow-mo, 100 frames per second, 1080p, which is very usable for the most part. The only downside, and one of the reasons why I haven't used this as much for video, is stabilization is pretty weak. I am pretty spoiled by the stabilization in Sony bodies, and this is usually what I bring with me as a primary video camera, but I am getting used to it. There's some techniques that I've been using. This is really great for stagnant kind of stationary shots, but overall, the footage and the colors are beautiful. I shoot in L-Log, I throw on a Rec 709 conversion LUT, and then I'll throw on a Creative LUT every now and then just to add a little bit of flavor to the footage. And I think the biggest thing for me having a camera like the Q3 in a city like Rome is that I'm not always about getting the perfect shot or footage or B-roll or photo. I am just using this as an extension of myself. When I see something beautiful, I can pull out the camera, get a nice shot, and I can keep moving. So I can spend a lot more time enjoying the city, enjoying my gelato, eating pizza, eating pasta, seeing the sights, taking in the history and the culture. And I'm not walking around like a photographer with, you know, my big camera and my 24-70 with a job to be done, right? This is just something that I've got with me. And if I see something that I really want to remember, I can just take a photo of it. Because when I'm taking photos with this, it's not for a job, it's not for brands, maybe sometimes, but it's just something that I use to document whatever I'm doing, wherever I am in the world, and that is important to me. Now, I know this video is a bit of a ramble, but I just wanted to create something where I could share some of the photos, talk about the camera, just, you know, get back to the things that I really love doing, which is traveling and taking photos. So if you like this content, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos just like this. I will be sure to do more travel vlogs and films and videos and try to take you guys on as many adventures as I possibly can. All right, I will catch y'all in the next one.